Hi, Gordon Atkinson here, sometimes known as Real Life Preacher, and I have no idea what I'm about to do. I really don't. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I, on occasion, make little videos, sometimes funny ones, sometimes more serious. I've never done a sermon online. I've been asked, which is very flattering, but I've never done that. I don't feel right about it for some reason. So this isn't a sermon, but I am going to read some scripture and chat about it a little bit. And I don't know what to call this. I don't even know why I'm doing it. I just have this weird impulse to do this, and I'm going to follow that impulse. And I have no idea whether I'll ever do it again. Probably won't. Um, but I'm working. It's Thursday, and I've got a sermon Sunday, and so I'm kind of, I've read the text. Actually, I read the text way back, like on Monday, and I've been thinking about it all week. And so today's kind of a musing day, and it just sort of struck me that it'd be kind of fun to muse with you a little bit. I mean, I'm just sort of talking to myself, but it feels like you're here, and I really like you guys. Just you people that are out there. It's weird. Sort of feel like I know you. Anyway, so I just thought I'd read the text and kick around a few ideas. I'm going to try to keep it to 7 or 8 minutes. I mean, I'm not going to talk very long. But anyway, this is kind of a pre-sermon thing, just sort of kind of chatting a little bit. Um, it is Palm Sunday this week. That's for churches that follow the traditional church calendar. Our church does. So most Christians around the world will be having Palm Sunday. And on Palm Sunday, we have a woman in our church named Paula, whom I love and has been at our church for a long time. And she buys these palm branches, and we hand them out to the kids, and the kids wave them around and kind of walk up and down. And of course, the kids love that. I mean, I don't think they like it as much as Christmas or anything, you know, uh, but it does. Just going to break things up for them a little bit. I mean, if you're a kid and somebody hands you a branch and says you want to wave this around in church and go running up and down the aisles, I mean, what kid wouldn't want to do that? So anyway, the kids have a great time, and we all watch them, and everybody says, "Yay, Jesus!" The triumphant entry into Jerusalem. And I always have these mixed emotions about the day because I don't really like this text, and I really don't like all the noise anyway in it. And so then I stand up and preach, and it's kind of a downer. But so it's kind of a bizarre, it's kind of a schizophrenic Sunday. On the one hand, we're all shouting with Jesus, and then the minister gets up and says how we shouldn't shout about Jesus so much. So let me read the text for you. It's from Mark this year, it's the same basic story in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and even John, except that Mark's ending is a little bit different. So anyway, Mark 11. I'll just read it to you. If you're interested in this, you're still listening. If not, I guess you've already turned off this tape anyway, so I don't have to tell you that. Okay, as they approached Jerusalem and came to Bethphage and Bethany at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two of his disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and just as you enter it, you'll find a colt tied there which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you doing this?' tell them the Lord needs it, and we'll send it back here shortly." Just tell them Jesus needs it, and we'll get it back to you soon. So they went and found a colt outside in the street, tied on a doorway, and as they untied it, some people standing there said, "What are you doing untying that colt?" And they said, as Jesus told them to, and the people said, "Go on." But when they brought the colt to Jesus and threw their cloaks over it, he sat on it. Many people spread their cloaks on the road, and others spread branches they had cut in the fields. And those who went ahead and came behind were shouting, "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest." Jesus then entered Jerusalem and went to the temple. He looked around at everything, but since it was already late, he went out to Bethany with the 12. One take, by the way, so if I slur words or anything, it's just going to be in there. So, an interesting story. Um, Mark's Mark's version is kind of amusing to me because Jesus has the big event. He comes in and everyone's excited. He gets the equivalent of a first century ticker tape parade. That's what this really is. Just a lot of people who are really excited. He is a superstar. Jesus Christ Superstar, brilliantly named musical, because he was a superstar and certainly has been ever since. So there's just, how people are about stars. We love stars. And so, yeah, Jesus Christ was a superstar and everybody's excited. Um, and when he gets into Jerusalem, then this is different about Mark. Matthew and Luke say that there was a violent confrontation between Jesus and the religious leaders, and he cleansed the temple, meaning he just really kicked ass. I mean, threw people out, turned tables over, just threw a big hissy fit, big Jesus hissy fit. I've always liked that passage. But in Mark, he doesn't. Mark's story this year, Jesus goes to the temple, just kind of looks around a little bit. I'm amused by that for some reason. I just sort of imagine him arriving at the temple and just going, okay, temple, nice, nice. There, the Holy of Holies and court of the Gentiles, and some nice side access there. Excellent. And then it was late, so he left and went out to spend the night outside of Jerusalem. And he spent the night in the suburbs, which is, comforting. Everybody's down on the suburbs these days, probably rightfully so. But for those of us that do live in the suburbs, we could say this: Jesus spent the night in the suburbs once, stayed out with his friends, probably. I think that may have made people angry too. They're expecting him to stay at the Ritz downtown. Instead, he went out and stayed at some peasant's house. Typical Jesus. So what in the heck am I going to do with this week? This is my 17th Palm Sunday sermon in a row at this church. Luckily, nobody remembers sermons. I can hardly remember what I did 2 weeks ago. So I have dim, vague memories of a couple of Palm Sunday sermons. I think I sort of know what I said. But most of the people who were there for my early Palm Sunday sermons aren't at the church anymore anyway. And, those that have heard a few probably won't remember them, so that's fine. But yeah, 17 of them. What I generally do with this is I try to do what I'm doing now. I doodle and kind of mess around and sort of think and try to let the passage speak to me. Like, what is this passage saying? What am I hearing this year in it? And this year, I've been struck by the noise of it. I think that in the Gospels, it's a good thing. 7 minutes. I gotta hurry. I think in the Gospels, it's a good thing to think of the crowds as a kind of type. The crowd is pretty much just everybody. There was Jesus, and then he had his buddies, the people that were right around him. Kind of his people. And then there was everyone else. And when Jesus came to town, yeah, they were interested, and they might have shown up and looked a little bit, or even shouted, "Yay, Jesus!" But generally, when he was gone, they went back to whatever they were doing, and that's kind of the way it is around in our culture. But boy, they were noisy on that one day, weren't they? I mean, noisy Jesus people. God, they're so irritating. All the hip hip hooray Jesus stuff is just so distracting, and all the Jesus is my boyfriend kind of music, lovey-dovey Jesus. Oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus. One time I was at this health club, and I swear the creepiest thing happened. I was actually lifting weights, and one of the people that worked there asked what I did for a living, and I said I was a minister, and he said, "Really?" And then he said in the most syrupy, awful voice, he said, "I love Jesus so much." It was much more than that. I can't even bring myself to imitate it. It was just so sickeningly sweet, and I don't know what he meant by that, really. What does that mean? So anyway, what's really funny though is all of these people making noise on this day. The crowd is going to be present outside of Pilate's palace just in a few days, and they're going to be yelling, "Crucify him," which is what we generally do to celebrities anyway. I mean, when we like them, oh, we like them. Lots of noise, posters, just, oh, we love you. But boy, we turn on them fast, and they turned on Jesus. Well, I don't know. 17th, Palm Sunday sermon. What am I going to do with it? I think I'm going to do something with the noise. That's what I'm kind of thinking. The noisy stuff. Stay away from the Jesus noise. Maybe that's a good title. Just stay away. If you hear a lot of Jesus noise going on, just get the hell out of there. Because generally, whenever people are making a lot of Jesus noise, they're not really interested in a lot of Jesus ideas. I mean, people like Jesus as long as he's not challenging their nationality, their nationalism, their patriotism, their economics. I mean, but, the minute Jesus begins to sort of threaten any of those things, boy, we'll turn on him quickly. Weird, though, in our country, we don't really turn on Jesus. What we do is we sort of turn on the charm for Jesus. That's kind of how we avoid his message, just make more and more noise. So you actually have this weird group of Christians who makes a ton of noise all the time about Jesus, but never really is interested in the radical nature of his message. It's kind of a classic Palm Sunday theme. There's certainly nothing new here. Lots of ministers will probably be taking something like this, but that's where I'm going. Oh gosh, 10 minutes. So anyway, tomorrow I'll be sort of messing around with this, and then Sunday I preach it. We'll see where that goes, and we'll see if I decide that I want to put this online. I don't even know if I will. I don't know. So maybe you'll see this. Anyway, I always like talking to you, even though you're not answering. So thanks for that. Sort of makes me a little less lonely up here, and it can be lonely at church. Okay, so I'm out of here. 10 minutes. Bye.